This morning's interview is with my mother, Mary McCarty. Mom is 92, and I can say that because you're actually very pleased how the Lord has granted you long life and a good mind, a sound body. God has richly blessed you, hasn't He?
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
And so we come this morning to encourage mothers in their journey, and I'd like to read from Ephesians chapter 6. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth. Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. And so I think back on my childhood, and we grew up in church, and we learned how to serve and minister. And so talk about those early years of raising 3 children, my 2 sisters and I.
Well, they were precious, very full of fun, and everything we did together. Whether it was go down to the little church that we were members of in Miami and clean the bathrooms, and you all would go in and help us scrub the floors, do the windows. We planted plants. That was just early on, never dreaming the platforms that we were setting for future things of what our children do serving the Lord. And so when we left Miami and went to Daytona Beach, that was a big time. We were there, that's some growing up years. And our children have always been in church. We went together. We never dropped them off at church unless they were teenagers or something like that. And we weren't involved in it.
Right.
But I think the most important thing is, as Dad and I talk about it, is doing everything together. He and I have great respect for each other. We were raised totally different, and how God has blended us together. So just know, if you love your husband, you stay close together, talk everything over. Sometimes my ideas were different than his, but there was nothing we couldn't work out, and it's been that way to this day.
Yeah. I was thinking back when we were in Pompano Beach, and we went to the church there, and I can remember on Friday nights they had a gymnasium, and we would go and work. We would sell out of the little store or help in the bowling alley or just the things that they had. Do you remember that?
Yes, we did that. That was fun, and we also skated.
Yeah.
And we brought you all down. Friday night was skate night too. But our children and Dad and I have always helped with whatever we were involved in. I think that's a secret to your children. Don't drop them off. Just go in and help and see what you can do. Churches always need your action.
Yeah. Well, I can think even when ministers would come into town, they would stay in my room.
That's
right. We would let them stop by and give them a place and house them and show hospitality. Did you see that growing up in your home, or what?
Oh, my mother and dad always 6 children, and there was always a room that they could have when the minister would come to town, or the evangelist. They always stayed at our house and they always loved Mother's cooking. And so it was just really fun. But we grew up knowing the pastor, knowing the people involved in the church. Don't annihilate yourselves from it. Keep your children there.
Right.
I think that is the most important thing of what we've done. In our Pompano Beach days, that was really some years that you all started making deeper walk with the Lord. And I can remember your Sunday school teachers challenging you to not just do memories, verses from memory, but to memorize the whole chapter.
Yeah.
And so it was just the way I was raised. My mother and dad did the same thing.
Yeah.
How grateful I am.
Yeah, we plugged in. I'm thinking Shirley and I met in our youth group at church.
That's right.
And that began preparation for our married life. I remember in student ministry serving. I can remember teaching Sunday school when I was, I guess, in college. I can't remember exactly, to 5th grade boys.
Yeah.
And I thought, even as a young teenager or in my early 20s, I'm teaching Sunday school.
Yeah.
Just always finding a place to serve. And I don't think it was necessarily because of my calling. It was because you set the example of always find a place to serve, invest in the church, advance the kingdom. And there was just that continual focus of serving the Lord that just kind of resonated. And of course, then answered the call to ministry,
Yes.
and see now how God had used that to prepare me and even Mary Jean and Patty as they continue to serve the Lord in their lives. I want to talk about prayer, though, because so much of what you've done over the years is the consistent message: you pray for your children constantly to this day.
All day long, all the way here this morning, praying that I wouldn't mess up.
It's okay. It's okay. But all my life, you have prayed for me.
And I had a praying mother. I mean, my mother, oh my goodness. What a great saint she was.
And you continued that legacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever I can do. Sometimes I overdo,
Uh-huh.
and I know that, and that's
Right.
okay because that's just me.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't mean I can't change.
Right.
Even at this age, because we just made our move to live here near our children and help us in these senior years. I call them the latter years of our life. And
But you're still praying.
every day. Pray without ceasing. I took that literally when the Lord said that. My twin sister and I were very young, and we both felt a call to missions when we were young teenagers. And we wanted to go to China, and talked it over with our dad and mother, told them what we felt like God was doing to us, or suggesting or warning us the path he wanted to leave. And my dad said, God would never send my children to China. I would never see them. And so what did he do? He took our children. The Lord has taken our children. And we
sent us around the world.
We yielded them to him. And with the grace of God, when we get to be in heaven, one day we'll all be together again. So God is good, and he's never will let you down.
Amen.
Ever. In the worst of times, he will never let you down. Amen.
Amen. But well put. Thank you, Mom. I honor you today.
What a privilege. Can you imagine being able to be interviewed by your son? Who is pastor? I mean, this is such a privilege.
Yeah.
So,
well, you've done very well. You expressed yourself well. And it's kind of fun now to think I'm your pastor as well as your son. You're in our church.
Can you believe?
I know.
I mean,
yes, I can.
We call you Pastor Jim because there's 5 Jims in our family, but now it's real. It's our Pastor Jim.
Yeah. And it's a privilege to walk with you these days. And we want to encourage every mother, really every parent out there. I think some of the takeaways from what you've shared are: make sure your children are involved in the church. That they're involved in service, not only in your home, but in the kingdom, in the church, in the community, and that you help them answer the call, and then you stand by them and pray for them continually, stand in the gap for them. And as you do, God is honored and he answers those prayers. I believe I'm sitting here today as an answer to many prayers, including that of my mother. So thank you.
Thank you. I love you. Yes.
Thank you.